Pro
So
Tools,
share that link.
Ugh.
And I
And then I see, I'm gonna put you right here so I can see your pretty face.
think we're live.
I wish there was a way that I
Yeah.
could take my face away so I could see, you know, just your face. Because if I see my face, I'm just gonna look at it.
If you see your face,
Whole time
where?
I'm just on the Discord, I see your face and my face, but I'm just looking at my face.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah. It's because I'm a narcissist. I figured it out. I'm not a sociopath.
You're a
I'm
narcissist. Fair enough.
But not a normal narcissist, not like a grandiose narcissist. I'm what's called a vulnerable narcissist.
Oh, wow, you really did a lot of research on this.
Well, I just listened to a podcast and he was talking about narcissism. I think what it is I'm actually a hypochondriac. Oh no. Being able to control my fan's speed for the computer seems like such overkill, but it does actually kind of make a difference in terms of sound.
You're a system fan?
Yeah, like if you have it on, it's kind of just like a constant like.
Yeah, I've definitely got that going on with mine, especially the way that I make my office set up right now in my new place.
I don't know, like
hopefully
how a Pro Studio does it. Do they like isolate the tower?
They put the tower in like an enclosure.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it's soundproofed, or they've got like a hard drive room, like a little like closet to the side that's soundproofed, where the towers are and the hard drives.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the way they do it. All right. I think we're doing it here. Okay, so here's the post is on Facebook. I tagged you in it. And let's hit record. I can go till like 4:30-ish, I guess, or like maybe a little after that.
Yeah.
You should be able to get.
It'll be a pretty quick one, right? Because
I think so.
Through.
Yeah. I'm so tired, man. We did I'm sure Will told you we did like a 12-hour
day, right?
video day yesterday. Driving to Muskoka and back, it was kind of crazy. Anyways.
Oh, it's in Muskoka?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it on the show. All right, let's clap it out. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right. Sweet.
I rushed a little bit, but
you rushed it a little?
The tiniest bit.
All right.
Yeah.
The sweet smell of a podcast about to start. Yes! Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's the Music Guy podcast coming at you with another fine internet radio show today. My name is Al Rowe. I'm a music guy. I play guitar, I sing, I write songs, I make records, I teach, and yesterday I did a 12-hour video shoot for the Christmas record that I've played on, and I'm also producing with the artists Beverly Mahood, Max Shepard, and Leah Daniels. The Agenda guys were all on it.
A very Agenda Christmas.
It's a very Agenda Christmas. I'm so tired today, but I'm here and psyched to be here with you. My friend Michael Hebbs, all the way in Whitby, Ontario. He's a guitarist, a backup vocalist, a composer, a teacher, all around handsome, great guy. What's up, my dude? How are you?
I did not work for 12 hours yesterday. I taught a little bit, and I'm just languishing. I think I know what languish means.
Yeah.
I think it's just like relaxing in anguish because you want to be doing things. But I'm probably wrong. Oh, there's a little doggo in the bottom corner. His little face popped up.
Yeah, little Coop's on the show today. Shout outs to Coop.
Oh, I like that.
We're live on YouTube as we are every week. So if you want to come by and check out the podcast before it's available in audio format, you are welcome to do so. You can find all of our episodes at musicguypodcast.com. And of course, you can follow us on Spotify or any various music. No, not music. Podcast
How
apps.
the fuck you listen to podcasts?
That's right. Yeah. So we're halfway through celebration of our 50th episode, sort of a loose year mark of us doing this podcast. Actually, a year and a couple months, but we sort of wanted to take a look back at what we've done in the past, give a little synopsis, maybe share some memories about the show, and if you should so happen to find that particular topic interesting, we would encourage you to go back to that episode and check it out and enjoy it. So normally we would do a question of the week and or a song of the week. And you can submit your music to us, musicguypodcast@gmail.com, or by connecting with Mike or myself on social media, or well, I guess those are kind of the only two ways, right?
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah. And we do have a bunch of great music to play for you in the coming weeks, but we're going to get straight into it as we have a lot of stuff to cover today. How am I doing? Am I setting this up reasonably well?
I think that's it. I
feel like I feel rusty today, man. I feel like I don't know how to broadcast.
You're frazzled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I haven't slept
I never
in
know
like
how
2
to
days.
broadcast. Like if we took you away and it was just me, I don't think I could do it, just because I'm always like responding. I'm never like carrying things, you know? So it's a lot of pressure on you, and then I just sit there and go, well, I think this.
Right.
Which is awesome. I like that role though. But yeah, that's it. I mean, listen to these and then choose what episodes you think are shit and don't listen to those.
And I guess we should say that part 1 was the previous episode. So if you want to hear about, our earliest attempts at making podcasts, you could visit some of those old episodes and get a taste of it. Let's jump right into it. We're going to pick it up right where we left off with episode 26. And if I know how to use my my broadcasting software here, I should be able to show the graphic as well. So let's see if I can do that. Yeah, this is like hardcore stuff here. Here's a clip of episode 26. Here it is.
He was saying that if you can like vary your content, and I think that's a way to vary it.
Yeah.
Don't just post on Instagram, post on YouTube, if you're doing songs the whole time, people are going to get tired of that. I've seen all that. Like literally everybody's doing, oh, we're doing an Instagram concert. And it's like, I feel like you should be doing things building up to an Instagram concert, maybe like once a week. And it's like, okay, here's my daily stupid meme thing, or here's me singing this really high note. And then it's like, yeah, but make sure to check out the real deal on this date, you know?
I mean, I think doing something is usually better than doing nothing. And
yeah.
And my rule that I go by is that consistency is always more important than talent, and it's always more important than almost everything else. Like,
I mean, I would say that consistency is more important than quality. You know what I mean? Like, you could release one song, and if it's amazing, cool. But there's this guy that's not that great, and he's been doing it for 15 years.
Little clip from our Q&A 3 episode there, episode 26.
A little back and forth.
Pardon me?
A little back and forth.
A little back and forth, yeah.
Michael Al combination.
I think
like
so.
it.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. So, those Q&A episodes are always super fun to do. Lots of variety there.
Yeah.
If you enjoy that kind of thing, they're always some of the most fun ones to do, I think, for us.
You can't prepare.
You can't. You just got to go off the cuff, and I do still stand by that, man. It's like the people who succeed are just the ones that are going at it every day. They're always releasing content, or they're writing songs every day, or they're practicing their instrument every day, or whatever. It's just like that consistency. You go back and look, 10 years later, it's like, if we're still doing this podcast in 10 years, I don't know how we could not be experiencing some amount of success.
Yeah.
And I think that just holds true for everything that's going on. So especially in a time like this where folks have extra time to be working on things, set up a little schedule, try your very hardest to, release, something every week. If you're trying to be a YouTuber, or like if you're trying to build up your Instagram following, make a point to release every 3 days or whatever the metric is that makes sense. Or if you want to start a podcast, do it every week.
Yep.
If
you have an OnlyFans and your fans are messaging you, make sure to respond to those.
Yeah.
'Cause, apparently that's important.
That's where the money's at, man. Or
I was thinking you and I should make a Christmas calendar, and I think we should release it for sale.
Okay. For sale.
That'll be our first attempt at monetization.
Yeah. That would be a real test of, our self-confidence. Like, how many do you print?
Yeah.
Right?
This is true.
Do we just do 50, short run, limited edition?
2. One for your mom, one for me.
It's just 2, like a very limited run. Yeah.
Mama Row and Mama Het.
All right, let's, you know what else I have to do? This is why I'm feeling confused, is because I don't have the show titles in front of me.
Oh, there you go. This is
when we
a rookie mistake.
Yeah, when we edit
this. What the fuck is this? Well, see, that's the nice thing about these live streams.
Yeah.
You get all these fuck ups, which is sometimes a good thing.
That's true.
Sometimes not. The next one is actually Nick Mayberry, which is an interesting one, because Nick Mayberry is not only like, an artist, and he's just releasing music for his own enjoyment, but he's also an animator. Like, that's what he does full time, and he's successful. He's not like, a deadbeat animator, if those exist. I'm sure they do.
They must. Yeah. No, Nick
That's what it says on my Tinder profile. Deadbeat musician.
Yeah, right.
It's not working very well for me.
No, well, yeah. I'd just take musician right out of there if I were.
Yeah. Deadbeat banker.
Yeah. Nick's super talented, super hardworking, great hang, great guy. It was a really nice look at the parallels between our industry here in music and the film and television industry, and just sort of, we're all just people doing it. We're not famous. We're not big time celebrities or big time producers or anything. We're not making a ton of money. We're just making a living in an industry that we love, and just some of the parallels there and how to get into that industry. And I think it really tied back well into having success in the music industry. Here's a little clip from our conversation with Nick Mayberry, episode 27. My advice to people who are trying to get started in music is to find other people similar age, similar skill level, and try to build something sort of from the ground up, rather than
that's fair.
Rather than getting in everybody's face, who whereas guys like Mike and I have sort of carved out our little thing that we got going on. It's like, rather than getting up in people's face and being like, hey, hire me. It's like, you're more likely to get a positive result, I think, if you can find a group of guys, get together and start, if your goal is to be a producer, start producing for people for free. Just start doing it, or start playing gigs and start trying to becoming a backing band. I mean, this is just me sort of essentially telling people what I did, but I feel like it's effective to try to build a team or your own network. Oh, we probably should have included Nick in the actual clip.
Yeah, my bad.
But
I just thought that was really profound what you said, like,
thanks, man.
For a musician, it's like they're trying to get a start, because I think getting from 0 to 1% is so much harder than getting from 1% to like 50%.
Yeah, it certainly can be. Yeah, and I know that Nick sort of echoed that sentiment. It's like the people you meet at school or whatever, like whoever you sort of start out with, like grow those relationships and make things real. Don't have superficial relationships with people where you're just sort of trying to network for the sake of networking. Like, build relationships because those will be so valuable for you down the road. So that was a really fun episode to do, and I think it was a really cool look into that.
It was kind of interesting just picking his brain. About like little things and just being like, oh, does this happen to you? Because this happens to me all the time. Like the idea where it's like they know. And I was talking to my one buddy. He works for Ubisoft, and now Ubisoft apparently isn't like this, but he's a character designer for them. But he says in the past, some companies he's worked for, they know, this is your like dream, and like they're willing to take advantage of that in terms of getting you to work a little bit more or do unreasonable things.
Sure.
It's like that's something that happens in music all the time.
Oh yeah, yep, and in
exposure,
film
baby.
and TV. Yeah, and there's a lot of instances of that. Yeah, when you're in a fun industry, it's absolutely something that people will leverage against you. And you gotta accept a certain amount of that because we get to like our jobs, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, it is a tricky scenario for sure.
Sometimes the hourly wage doesn't really work out as well.
Yeah. Oh God, not ever. Yeah. So episode 28, we had some no-name guy on here named Will Hebbs. Haven't heard of him.
That guy.
Yeah. No, Mike's brother Will was on. One of my dearest and oldest friends, Will, and member of the Agenda. Great guitar player. Works for Amanda Marshall, Beverly Mahood, Leah Daniels.
Was on the video shoot with you yesterday.
We were on the video shoot together yesterday. Jarvis Church. He's played in the Junos band. He's done a lot of high-profile stuff.
Yes.
And so we just had him on to just chat career and guitar playing and all that kind of stuff. Here's a clip from episode 28 with Will Hebbs. Here it is.
If you play like a great song, and I don't mean a big song that's like big on the radio. I mean a great song that you believe in, and you can just really commit to it. That's so much more fulfilling than like, oh, here's a pop country song about the Georgia Pines and blah, 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 or whatever.
That was it. It was short.
Short and sweet. Yeah. Will's,
I mean, that whole episode is like essentially him just fucking, what's that?
Airing
That
grievances.
famous guy thing. Yeah. You know what grinds my gears?
Exactly. Yeah.
You want to know what grinds Will's gears? Just, listen to that episode.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth to that, though. It's like at some point
Yes.
you need to be doing something that you find fulfilling. And it's easy to get caught up in, and I mean, we're very fortunate if to even get caught up in the world of just working a ton and playing music for other people and whatever. But like at some point, for a lot of us, we are looking for that one project that we do find super fulfilling creatively, even if it doesn't like pay super well or isn't giving us a lot back.
Like a Christmas calendar.
I'd do that for the money, I think. Yeah.
I do that for the passion.
Yeah. You would do it for the passion. I'd just be doing it for the money. I think it would be a
It's
gold
not a
mine.
sexy Christmas calendar though. It's just, us just hanging out in Christmassy situations. Maybe
Christmas
some
sweaters.
Christmas sweaters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe we're cooking a Christmas meal together.
Yeah. Of
I
course.
think it's golden. It's a cash cow.
Yeah. Why not? So great episode with Will there. And if you want to hear some airing of some grievances, head on over to that one. What's the next one, Mike?
This is another member of the Agenda. Surprise, surprise. But this guy fucking loves being on the show. I can tell he does.
Oh yeah.
But it's Rich DeSilva. Now, is this our first episode with Rich DeSilva? Because I know we had two.
I think
it is.
this is the first one that we did. I mean, there was one at the hotel where all the boys were on, but I think this is the first time we actually just had Rich on his own, and it was super informative. I think he just went over like a lot of great tips for drummers and what can sort of set you apart, and just how to be successful in the world of being a side person. And here's a clip, episode 29 with our boy Rich Da Silva. Give us the TED Talk on getting good gigs is a mindset.
It's the most pretentious episode yet.
I don't know. Will's is pretty judgy.
So, something I heard a while ago was like, you have to be in the same mindset before you get the good gigs, whatever the good gigs are. You have to do all the right things before you get the good gigs. You have to show up on time. You have to be prepared. Your gear has to sound good. You have to shower. You have to be a good person. Did I already say that? But then people who have those good gigs, they do all those things. You know what I mean? Do you start doing those things once you get the gig? I don't think so. You have to have all that going on first, and then get the good gig.
Some truth there. A little truth drop from Rich there. Great advice.
Thing, he talks, about how he practices, which was really cool for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a big thing. Like, I think most of us practice similar amounts, I think we're past the days of like, oh, I practice 10 hours a day in terms of, trying to one-up each other in terms of the hours in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, what are you practicing? How are you doing it? And if you hear a drummer like Rich, it's like he's doing something right. There are plenty of drummers that do not like the same shtick as Rich, but do similar things to Rich, but they don't quite do it as well as him.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, he's a drummer that rarely makes mistakes in terms of playing, right? And is so easy to work with, very musical.
That's
great
the
vibe like that he adds to any sort of situation, and you just wonder, like, what are you thinking about? Like, how do you do that all the time? And it's like, and we just sort of get into that, just how to be a good guy to work with, and how to sound your best, and what to pay attention to.
He talks about like running tracks for shows too, and then he talks about like what it's like to play in the studio versus playing live, and the ways that you change things. Like, if I were a drummer, I'd be all over this shit. I mean, also too though, I feel like this is a really player oriented episode, unless you're maybe an artist who's trying to look into like how to run tracks yourself. Good luck with that.
Yeah, no, I think it is very, very much geared towards, players and drummers alike. Yeah.
We have another player next.
Our next episode, oh boy, this is some high profile stuff here. We've got Eddie Ryder on, and for episode 30. Eddie is the keyboardist and guitarist for Shawn Mendes. I don't know if you guys have heard of him or not.
Little fella,
little known Canadian startup artist. So Eddie's spent the last couple years just touring the world, playing in one of the biggest bands going. Unfortunately, not a whole lot going on right now, but that's true of anybody. But so we just got to chat with Eddie about sort of what that gig is like, and just sort of his approach to working in the industry, and how he's been able to get to where he's gotten to. Obviously, he's an incredible musician and very, very talented person. But again, it's that same sort of work ethic and attitude and just overall good person sort of stuff that seems to be the keys to this business, right? And we also get into Eddie's solo album, which is called As Seasons Change Over. If you're into solo piano music, it's beautiful stuff. We talk about the writing and recording and producing of that record.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the clip too, the animation, or not the animation, it's all GIFs. It's all stupid shit that I put on our Instagram. Eddie and I have this running joke that I believe he had with other people, but he showed me. It's called the Synth Axe. Have you ever heard of it, Al?
I have not.
It's like from the 80s, and it's a promo video where it's like you play, it's a keyboard, but it's a guitar somehow. And the video is just really cheesy. So there's like these dolphins, like he's playing this thing and he's really into it. It's really soothing and 80s and cheesy. but there's like dolphins in it and weird animations and shit. Syntax, it's worth checking out. And I told, since I needed to make a GIF, I was like, yo, is it cool if I do this? I was like afraid to make the clip because I'm like I don't, because I don't know, he's got like a big Instagram following, and I'm like, I don't want to do something wrong or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally hilarious.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. Oh, he's always had a
Syntax.
great sense of humor. Here's a clip, episode 30 with Eddie Ryder.
I will say, like, there's a lot more than being really good at your instrument. The most important thing, I think, is appropriateness to the song that you're playing or the artist you're playing for.
Yeah.
So if the style you play in, the lines you add in, the voicings you use, the sounds you use, it needs to fit in the song. It needs to be in the right atmosphere of what the song is, of what the artist wants to create. And many times there's a lot of songs where I play whole note chords because that's what the song needs.
Yes.
And then there's other songs where, yeah, maybe there's like a crazier line or a solo part. But first and foremost, you need to enter the world that the artist is creating and support that as best you can. That's your number one job.
Yep.
What Rich is saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, maybe not in the clip, but he talked a lot about musicality and like, obviously for us, musicality as side people, like that's a different thing than musicality maybe as an artist, And they're same, but like in a sense of your job is to, like, as he's saying, like do what needs to be done for the song, fill the gaps that are there, and not put like extraneous shit, that makes you feel good about yourself in there.
Absolutely. It's not about you. It's about the song. It's about the artist. Yeah. So if you want to hear it straight from someone playing in one of the biggest bands in the world, that's a great one to go check out, episode 30. What do we got next?
That, in terms of statistics, we look at our
yeah.
posted on Blueberry. That one did a little bit better than the others. It was like triple the regular downloads.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
The next one is actually not a side person. It's an artist named Abby J. Hall. And so I met her. Was it the first time you guys had met her too, or was she in the last one? It was Magna Hoedown, right?
That's right. Yeah. I don't remember if that was the first year. She did it twice. And you may have been the first. You may have been in the band for that first year that she was in. I'm not sure.
I don't know, because I seem to remember you guys knew her before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so maybe it was the
very
second
talented girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like in terms of musicality, from an artist perspective, she really does have it. Like her music, this sounds really dumb, is very musical. You know what I mean? You can tell she listens to songs.
Yeah.
You can tell that she spends time with her lyrics. And like she just got a cool sound and vibe to stuff. Like to be honest, I hate using the word vibe because I feel like I'm full of shit when I say it.
I use it all the
she
time.
really
I love it.
That's okay. I mean, you're less full of shit than I.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But I'm trying to think, like, we just kind of cover everything. One of the things that I thought was really neat is we covered kind of her process of finding a producer and finding someone to like work with who works with you, and also someone it's not just gonna be like, yeah, this is a paycheck. That's our big shtick. That's like one of the messages of our podcast. So
yes.
find people who are gonna take you seriously.
Yeah, and Abby did a great job of finding producers that brought the best out of her sound. And her songs sound great. She's a hell of a singer. And if you want to hear more about Abby and hear some of her music, we do play some on episode 31, or just pop on over to Spotify right now. Abby J. Hall. She just released a new song, and I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head. But yeah.
Isn't she opening for someone impressive in the next while, if it's still happening?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can talk about that or not.
Oh,
but
okay.
I may or may not be. I may or may not be involved.
Discuss.
I don't know if I can promote that yet, but
I like that.
Big
a little
things.
bit of secrecy.
Big things coming for.
You heard it
for
here,
Abby. Yeah.
folks. Opening for David. Oh wait, he's dead.
Ooh.
I actually genuinely was starting to say that. I'm like, oh fuck. Opening for. Don't say someone who's dead. Prince.
Oh,
He's also dead.
God. Here's a little clip from episode 31 with Abby J. Hall.
Well, I finished the song, and then together we'd go through it and kind of like tweak things.
I see,
that-
like pre-production stuff. One thing that I thought that was interesting, and like, it's cool that you had a bunch of songs to start with, you know, and then it was like, oh, we'll choose the best ones. Because I mean, I don't know, I've never brought a song to radio, so I'm talking about out my ass here. But I would imagine, like, if you had, you know, no songs or only one or two songs, and you're like, let's do these. It's like, well, cool, but like that. Those songs might not suit the producer, or they might not be good songs. So if you have 20, the producer can choose the best one for what they're gonna, you know,
Right,
that speaks to them,
right.
you know, which makes sense.
Right
Another
on.
clip of me talking instead of the person.
Instead
we're
of the guest.
interviewing.
Yeah. So yeah,
Great.
just another, just talking about the artist-producer relationship and how to get the most out of that, especially when you're getting started. If you come at them with one song, then they'll do it for you, but it might not be, you know, your best work, right? Write 6 and pick the best 3 or something instead of
Yeah.
just coming at it with the very first thing. And one of the things about Abby that's one of the many things about Abby that's so impressive is how much she writes. She's very prolific, and just has. I mean, I don't know how many songs she's got, but I know of the handful of shows I've done with her. I bet you we've done 30 plus different original tunes from her.
Including opening for Bon Jovi
Which
this summer.
yeah.
He's not dead, so it's
That's
you know,
true.
I can say it.
Yeah. Our next episode was a really fun one, actually. This was with our friend, guitarist for Jess Moskaluk and some other great act, super talented guy, and also songwriter and player for the metal band Jade Figurine. Brennan Wall, all the way from Winnipeg, Manitoba. And this one was just super fun just to sort of chat. Brennan's just a very fun person to talk to. He's an incredibly talented musician, and he's very understated. Like, he just always blows me away, but is also just so easy to get along with and chat with, and it never makes you feel like you're
Lesser than.
In fact, just talking to him gets you excited about playing music and wanting to do it more. So
And he was ready to talk. Like, he was like,
Yeah.
I want to do another one of these.
Yeah.
Like, it's his first podcast. So,
And
know?
and we also got into some donut talk. Brennan started a bit of a donut business over the COVID pandemic. So here's a little
thriving
listen.
donut business.
Yeah, that's right. Thriving, yeah. Here's a little listen in on episode 32 with Brennan Wall.
Oh yeah,
Hate
and
that.
everybody can relate to a donut.
Yeah.
It's like not everybody can relate to like some like weird time signature or like, you know, there's like a very like there's like a section of people that like chicken picking. So you post chicken picking video, and like that small section of people are like, oh yeah, I love this, like, and then there's the section of people that like the rock, like the dad rock. There's a section of people that like the prog rock and the blues, right? So everybody kind of comes out of their area to support that thing you've posted, but not everybody. You post a donut, the Venn diagram of all those things, the center says donuts, and everyone's just like, yeah, no, I'm in on that. I'll have 6.
What he's saying
That's
is
still so
you
funny.
shouldn't do music.
Yeah, don't do music, just make
do things
donuts.
that everybody likes.
Yeah.
I like that advice.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, donut business right now would be really nice for me.
That was such a fun episode to do, and like a lot of laughs and just great conversation. So episode 32
advice,
with
though, too.
Brennan. Yeah.
About like music directing and band leading, all that shit, you know.
Yep.
And he they run a show obviously on a very high level. Like, Jess is a huge artist.
Mm-hmm.
Rich also plays with her, you know.
Yeah,
and it's
Rich
like,
is in that band as well. Yeah. It's all
good to
connected.
have that perspective.
It's
That's
all
exactly well, all the
connected
people we
somehow.
have on, right?
Yeah.
We haven't really reached, too far from our friend group, but we're gonna do that.
Yeah, and we
on the
will,
list of
but-
things to do.
But it's like the music business is so much that way. Everything is connected
Yeah.
somehow. Like Brennan, but we met Brennan through Rich, and it's like, okay, this is the next sort of. We're
7
taking
degrees
another.
of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, we're just taking exactly the seven. What is it called?
I don't know. my
Seven
God.
steps. Kevin
It's
Bacon?
probably 7 degrees.
7
of Kevin
degrees.
Bacon.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
look it
yeah.
up.
That's right.
So-
Yeah, you're just sort of taking another step out and just expanding your circle and getting to know Brennan was awesome for me over the last year or two or whatever, and it was super cool to have him on the show. What's the next one?
The next one is Sean Giovanni, and this guy actually not super within our circle, just
That's true.
kind of he's a Nashville record producer, super legit. Worked with huge acts. I mean, the thing's just loading now, but I know Meatloaf was in there and Big and Rich was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Meatloaf was awesome because Meatloaf's kind of one of those guys that everybody has a few of his records lying around,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's seen I would do anything for love.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he's got his
but,
own musical at this point, right?
Oh, he has.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Bat Out of Hell.
There you go.
So, I mean, none of our guests have worked with people that have their own musicals that we know of. But, yeah, no, he had some great advice, really concrete stuff. One of the nice things about him, he's working with, I don't know if it's a life coach or a motivational speaker, and they were working on something together to put together sort of a system for creatives to advance themselves. Because there are plenty of us that are well capable, but we just don't have the get up and go to get out there and get to the opportunities that can take advantage of our talent. Talent is, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but in terms of success, they're not related. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they are, but it's expected that you have talent, and everybody has it. So the clip in particular, this was the one thing where I'm like, I got to do this. I haven't done it. But in a loose sense, I have. But he's got a whole thing called the Mind Map. I think it's the Mind Map Tribe. Let me just confirm that because
Yeah, no, you're right.
I was very interested.
No,
in
you're
that.
absolutely right.
Mind Map Tribe.
Yep.
Yep. Mindmaptribe.com. And he's got plenty of cool advice. He talks about his life. He talks about how getting his first clients. The name of the studio that he is his studio is called The Record Shop, and it's in Nashville. So very legit guy.
Yeah, a lot of great career advice, and just really cool to talk to somebody who's down there in Music City doing it full time and how they got there. Here's a clip from episode 33 with Sean Giovanni.
A practice that I started to implement in my career years ago that I've now has been a part of a lot of the talks that I give is creating a prosperity plan. And it's a fancy way for saying a schedule with goals. My partner with Mind Map is a speaker named Ricky Mendez, and he came up with the term prosperity plan. The basic idea, the starting point, I'll give it to you in a few simple steps. You look at your maybe 5 long-term goals. What are the things that you want to achieve in the next couple years? Then you look at the short-term things that you can do to move towards those goals, and you make a list of those underneath your long-term goals. You set that aside. Now you grab your calendar. Some people have a written calendar. I use iCal because I have all Apple devices. Some people might use the Google Calendar, whatever you have, however you schedule your appointments. Now you look at your weekly schedule, and let's say that you're not full-time in the music industry yet. So maybe you got a 9-to-5 job or you got a part-time gig. So that's already on your schedule. You know that you have to do that. Now you're playing some shows on the weekends. Maybe you're playing with a couple artists, or you're an artist that has some gigs. You have that on your schedule. Then you have to determine, what are my working hours? And by working hours, I don't mean the time that we're getting paid to work. I mean the time that we're working on our future. What I determined my working hours to be is pretty much 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I laid out a couple different ways of figuring out how to manage that time. What I realized is that once I put my responsibilities, like the things that I absolutely had to do on my schedule, we have so much more time left.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I
I found it very effective to actually enter in on my Google Calendar, even just on a daily basis. Like if I'm just trying to manage a couple of projects that I have going on, it's like, okay, from this time to this time, for 2 hours in the morning, I'm going to work on this mix. I'm going to make sure I start at 10 a.m. and I think it's going to take me 2 hours to get this done. So 10 a.m. to noon, I'm working on that. All right, well, then I'm going to get hungry, so I'm going to have to get lunch. Okay, so I'll give myself a half hour to do that. And then I got to jump on this other project from 1:30 to 2:30. And then I've got these other things. And then I'll probably, I got to take the dog out. So I'll probably just take a break around this time. And then, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, when you actually do that, it's so much easier to get all your stuff done, because even just things like lunch, I don't think about that in advance. And then, whatever time rolls around, I'm like, man, I'm starving. I haven't eaten. And then it's like, okay, now I'm interrupting whatever I'm doing. And then I start watching YouTube or something, and then I don't get back to it right away. It's like, if you plan for all these things ahead of time, it really does make such a huge difference. And that was one of the main points that Sean continued to drive home, was manage your time and, set your goals and expectations ahead of you incrementally of, things you can actually get done, and make sure that you're getting them done every day and always sort of moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, that was very well put. I have nothing more to say about that. But if I needed to listen to an episode of our podcast, it would be episode 33. It was the most useful for me, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'd be a good one to go back over. Yeah.
Is a buddy of ours.
Yeah.
Mr. Dave Kirby. I miss this guy. I don't really play any gigs with him. So, me and him used to play together in Chris Barclay's band. That's how we got to know each other. Me, him, and Justin. And I used to just mercilessly bother the shit out of Justin. He was like I just had this little brother gene in me, and I did it the same with Rich. Whenever me and Rich would play together, I'd constantly be punching him in the shoulder and just trying to get him fired up. For some reason, I didn't fire up Dave Kirby, but I have some pretty awesome Dave Kirby stories.
I mean, he's kind of the epitome of chill dude, right?
Yes.
I don't think anything gets him fired up.
No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't even remember what this clip's about, but I
So,
just miss that guy.
We talked about Dave's guitar course.
Oh,
It's called String Theory. I think it's stringtheoryguitar.com, or just Google String Theory Guitar. And what he's done here is sort of distilled all the major information that he finds himself teaching his students over and over again into an online course, with the idea being that he could build this into a sustainable business, so that down the road he's actually got something that's his. He's not relying on picking up gigs from other people. He's trying to build something for himself to continue to profit off of over the future. And what he discovered was this huge world of online marketing, and how complicated and difficult it is to actually promote a product online. So not only did we chat a bunch about the creation of the lesson program that he's made, but also just the world of online marketing, which I know very little about, and I found super interesting.
Another thing as well, the advantage of his thing is this is a side hustle, my favorite word.
Yeah.
But it's a side hustle that you can do on your own time, right? So if I buy a lesson from you, Al, I have to go to your house and you have to sit there for half an hour and you get paid to teach me. This course, if it blows up, the transactions are taken care of automatically. If somebody buys it, he doesn't have to do anything except for collect the check.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing obviously is time, but he can do that, in a hotel room while he's on tour. You can't do lessons while you're on tour, So it's very clever. Side hustles for life.
So this is a great idea for people who are looking for something to invest their time into now while we've got some downtime during this pandemic, and or if you're a guitar player looking to up your game. I mean, Dave is one of the most intelligent musicians I've met, just in terms of his knowledge of how music works and the way that he explains it. Because I've had the opportunity to sit down with him a couple times just when we've been on the road or whatever and just jam a little guitar and just like, hey man, just like teach me how to play some blues stuff or something. And it's just been really enlightening. And I would
purchase the course as well too, sir. So you know.
I did. I have taken the course. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So here's a clip of Dave Kirby, episode 34.
You know what? You know what I kind of find as a side guy, like you can't really control like when you have work and when you don't have work, especially in Canada. Like Canada is a small market. What I think is like anything that you can do to create value in yourself, not related to another person's value, like without having to say, you know, he's the guitarist for this person or whatever. Like anything that you can do that sort of liberates you from that type of thing is just making you more valuable to artists, and it's making you more valuable to yourself, and it's giving you like you know, you can kind of weather hard months kind of that way because you know are a little bit in control of how you make money.
Yes, gives you like agency to like kind of be like, oh, if I want to make more money this month, I'm just gonna really work on the marketing and try to like fine tune things and cut down.
Yeah.
Guess that's it.
Well said. Exactly as we put it. Now we're just knocking these out of the park, man.
Yeah. Episode
35, Mr. Kevin Dietz came on the show. Kevin's a recording engineer that I've had the opportunity to work with a bunch of times now. We've been kind of working together on projects for a few years now. And Kevin's actually a Juno winner. I think just after this podcast went down, he won a Juno for the Glorious Sons' latest record. And
I actually bet him. I bet him my CERB payment, and he bet his CERB payment that he was going to win. So somebody owes us.
So you have to pay him a CERB payment?
I didn't bet against him. I bet for him. We both bet for him.
Oh, okay.
So whoever we bet with, which is no one, owes us $4,000.
Well, did you get your CERB check that month?
I did.
Then
the government.
Everyone's a winner.
It was $2,000 short.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah, they owe you double. I see what you're saying.
Fucks.
So yeah, I mean, Kevin's
actually a recording engineer.
Super talented recording engineer. He works at some of the biggest studios in the city here in Toronto. Knows how all the gear works, knows what needs to be done to make things sound good, and most importantly, just is a great person to work with.
Yes.
And keeps everybody relaxed, everybody feeling good, everybody feeling like they know what they're doing, and sessions just go so smoothly, and the sounds are so good. So we chat with Kevin just about his approach to the music industry, his approach to being a recording engineer, what training he's had, working with the Glorious Sons, and on that record that did win him a Juno. It was a really great episode.
Yeah.
And Kevin's just such an awesome guy. So hopefully it'll be useful to a lot of people out there, even people who are just sort of doing the engineering from home kind of deal, which a lot of people probably are.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a little clip of Kevin Dietz, episode 35.
Fred was so on top of everything as far as pre-production, just his level of organization. I think he really knew how to get a lot from a relatively small amount of time. I just credit that to his organization. Mm-hmm. And I like being really organized. I really don't like disorganized studio sessions, especially if it's big or multiple days or things. All of a sudden, time feels like it just slows down. Whereas, a 12-hour day goes by like that if things are organized and the workflow is good.
Yeah.
When it's not, it's like it's a total drag. And this was the former. It was so organized and always very musical. There was definitely room left for spontaneity, but there was also a good amount of parts mapped out so that when it came time to actually record them, there was at least a very solid roadmap.
Right on. So just talking about working with Fred, the producer for the Glorious Sons record, and just what their approach was like, and what Kevin's sort of position was, and what his role was in the making of that record, and how he fit into that, and how he enjoyed the process.
Too is like with the term recording engineer, I feel like that's a term that gets thrown around. Now, he was saying, oh, technically, I think in order to be a recording engineer, you might have to be an engineer. But Kevin is literally, if he's not technically a recording engineer, he's the closest thing to it that I've met. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he really, that's what he does for full time. You know, sometimes he's an assistant. Well, before he was an assistant, and he'd literally just be the guy like, oh, what mic do you think should go here? Or like, you know, the guy working the console and stuff like that. And like now he does that, you know, for his own stuff, where it's like he's the guy that you call, like for the agenda, you know, like you all have the capability like to put an SM57 in front of a speaker, and you know how to place mics, but that is what he does. That's his specialty, you know. Which is amazing.
Yeah, and he came up the traditional way, like you said. He started working at studios and came up from the bottom and did it the old school way. So he's learned from some of the greats. Yeah. Started from the bottom now. Now we hear.
The funny thing, now we're here. 36 is Matt Boyer. The other side of sound engineering is live sound guy. I think the preferred term is live sound technician.
Yes.
So the funny thing is, this clip makes it sound like he's a grumpy sound tech. But we actually had to pry this out of him. Yeah. You know, super chill the whole time, talking about stuff. And he seems like a really nice dude. But I'm like, you gotta have some fucking hate in your heart. You know what I mean? You're a sound guy. It's in there. Let it out.
Matt's one of the most bubbly, sort of just easygoing, everything's always under control, smile on his face, sound technician, live sound guy I've ever worked with. I had the pleasure of touring with him twice, and I miss you, Matt. Hope we can get on the road together again soon. Here's a clip of Matt Boyer, episode 36.
So, okay, that stuff, the stuff that like makes my back warm and like make me go like, let's go, guys. You know, like that kind of stuff is showing up late. You know, it's simple things. It's like, it's a lot of like interpersonal stuff. Like show up on time and have all the gear that you need. I had people ask me for a strap for the guitar and then give me attitude when I didn't have one. You know what I mean? Like, like you don't have an extra strap. Like, what do you fucking mean I don't have an extra strap? Like, how do you practice? Like, you didn't think that you would stand today? Like, I don't understand. Show up with all your gear, make sure that it works. A lot of times pedal boards will die, and that's kind of the nature of the game with pedal boards sometimes. Just having a solid grasp of your gear is huge, and I mean, it sounds simple, but it really isn't. Like, so many people will they'll try out a piece of gear for the first time on a show. When you're setting up on stage, just like being aware, like pay attention to where you put your case. You know, like your guitar case and your amp sleeve, like don't just fucking put it in the middle of a wide open space. Like tuck it against the wall. Or the case open kills me too. The case open in the middle of the stage, I'm like, why the fuck? Like, like I'm gonna step over this thing. Like, just get rid of it.
This is why sound guys become grumpy. It's this stuff.
20 years of this shit, yeah.
You're killing these people, guys.
Okay, one thing that kills me is when people go up to a microphone and they go, then they smack it. Like, oh my God, do not smack the microphone. Yeah, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts when people are just playing. I think I heard you and Rich talk about this, like noodlers on stage, you know, like, also like treating soundcheck like a rehearsal, I think is the bigger thing. Soundcheck is not a rehearsal. And if you're coming in thinking like, okay, we're going to run these 5 songs, like.
Yep. Yeah. Some valid grievances there from our friend Matt. Yeah, that's a great episode. Just talking about sort of how that side of the business works, and also how we as musicians can do a better job to work better with, you know, our friends on the other side of the stage, and just to sort of make everybody's life easier. You know, it's like, what do we got to do?
That's a great way to refer to them. Our friends on the other side.
Was that disrespectful?
No, I love it. I love it. It's not disrespectful. I thought it was just it's a nice expression.
Nice way of saying it. Episode 37. We had our friend Devin Potter on, and Devin is the CEO, manager of Stereo Flavor, who we've mentioned numerous times on this episode. Last episode, because we had a couple Stereo Flavor episodes. They're a wedding band in the Toronto area. If you don't know anything about them, they're one of the best wedding bands going.
Yes.
Stereoflavor.ca. And if you're a musician, we've all had just nothing but the best experiences playing in part of this band. So we wanted to chat with Devin about how they run such a tight ship, and also a little bit about her
Without being shitty.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, they run a tight ship, but it's not like tight unnecessarily, you know?
No.
It's tight in all the right places.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Sounds.
It's like a nice like a nice t-shirt. Yeah.
There you go.
So we talked with Devin about that, and also a little bit about her own podcast, which she launched shortly after being a guest of ours. It's called The Big Moves Podcast. If anybody wants to check that out, it's a very cool podcast about big moves, travel decisions that people have made in their life where they've relocated for several years, or for the foreseeable future, or what have you. So if you're interested in travel, there's some great stories on that podcast. Big Moves Podcast. Here's the clip from episode 37 with Devin Potter.
As I did with your event, Al, we get into just templates. We just like to have sheets that work for us. We've kind of, tried and tested. We've used them on a lot of different events.
Probably saves mental energy to have those templates too, to just be like, this is the information I need. Ding,
Yeah,
ding, ding.
exactly. And that way it keeps track, because we have had, upwards of 60 events in a year. Again, not 2020, but some year it'll happen again. It's all about systems. That's always what I've thought organization in general, and a lot of musicians are afraid of it and afraid of spreadsheets and don't want to think about that stuff. But if you spend a couple hours some year making yourself a template that you can then use every year for taxes, for whatever it might end up being, your life is just way more simple. So
yeah, and one of the systems that you guys employ is the living document, the Google Docs, the Google Calendar,
Yes,
where
we love Google Docs,
everybody's sharing that one document, and therefore you don't have a 200 email chain every time.
Totally.
Can we do that at 2:15 instead of 2? It's like, that's something that somebody can maybe just comment on the document, and then you can change it, and you can go back and forth. So then everybody's literally on the same page. So that's like a great. So there's a little bit of discussion with
document
with Devin Potter, the living document.
Oh my God, that is like the essential coordination tool. Google Drive living document.
Yeah.
Just have one, share everybody on it, and then you don't have to fucking do that stupid email thread.
I can't wait for the world where like emails are like much less than they are now, much fewer emails, and all money transfers are done by email transfer.
And auto deposit. I need to set up my auto deposit.
Let's get rid of checks. Let's get rid of wire transfers.
Yeah.
Get rid of all that garbage.
Let's just get rid of people. Let's just have computers.
EMTs,
and
then instead of emails, living documents. There you go.
There you go.
Why don't you talk about this next episode, episode 38?
I love this man, and I'm very sad that he doesn't live here anymore. I'm very happy for him, but I'm very sad. Josh Cohen lives in America now because he's a trader. But he's an awesome, you've never met a bassist like Josh Cohen. The way that he sort of does his thing, he obviously can do the bass player thing very, very, very well, but he does sort of almost like a piano approach to bass. It's very unique, two-handed tapping and slapping, and it's just a good time. But we talk with him, but we talk about a lot of things. He had a lot of cool just insights into the physicality of getting good at your instrument.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things he mentions in the episode is that so say for instance, if you've got you're saying, I don't know why I'm holding a Band-Aid. Don't judge me. But you want to get your finger nice and close to that string, and a lot of people work at that, but they're working on something called isolation. So only this finger moves and not my wrist moves in compensation, or my arm. And that's actually bad for you. That actually causes injuries. And he's read these things in books, kids.
Yeah.
He's not just pulling it out of his ass like us.
That was a good lesson to learn from Josh. Yeah, Josh has made a career out of being like a solo bassist. He's a solo instrumentalist. He's got a couple records out right now. Freedom is the most recent one, which I have a signed copy of right here on my desk.
What?
Yeah, and yeah, so he
you
plays.
Your friends?
I sure do. Yeah. So yeah, Josh plays. Everything with just a single instrument, and sometimes it sounds like there's a few different instruments being played at the same time. Does all his own arrangements, and was literally just busking for a living for quite a while. Yep. So he's got a lot of interesting stories, and his approach to music is super unique and awesome. And he's just generally a great guy and fun to be around and chat with. So here's a little clip from episode 38 with Josh Cohen. Or 16th note subdivisions, if that's what we need. At least all those notes line up to a beat on the quote unquote grid, so they can, once they develop that skill of learning how to count and play and where things fall, they can utilize that to understand where the rhythms are. But
right?
I think I don't.
So it's so crazy. There seems to be like all these different philosophies about counting. I've seen some people advocating like don't count, and some people are like no, learn to count everything. And I've been trying that myself, and with students is just like I say I should be able to count, maybe not up to speed. Like if it's like a really fast broken 16th note phrase, I'm not always looking to be I just want to like be able to count at a practice tempo, and just to try to lock just for awareness of the pulse. I think it's important, but yeah, I would it's not like it's the only way.
Yeah.
Ow. I edited that wrong.
Oh.
In the title of it, it says sort of where I want you to scroll that to.
Oh.
I should have warned you about that.
Oh, my bad.
Yes, all of these next ones are like that. You have to scroll to the point where it says in order for the clip to start.
Okay.
My bad.
No worries. Okay, let me do that right now. We can edit that out.
Subdivisions.
You could say talent. I know you guys had an episode and you were trying to discuss, does genius exist or does talent exist?
Yeah. It does. Josh Cohen.
Yeah, here's an example right here. Yeah.
Well, the thing is like, I think there's always a brute force way to get you there. I mean, at least, if you are of reasonable, like average intelligence, all your mental faculties are working, normally, I think even for these things that you might feel like you don't have a knack at doing, there's always like some analytical brute force getting in the weeds way of getting you there.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, your skill set will be indistinguishable from someone that maybe got there naturally. So I think plenty of players that maybe haven't taken that approach to something like.
Did I do it right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yeah, so we had the old genius versus hard work kind of discussion with Josh. And yeah, we did do like some good discussions about teaching too, and just approaches to how we work with our students and what's the best. Well, there is no best approach, but what are the different approaches that we can be using and what's been working for us. So really good episode with Josh.
This next one. This is the next one is like the most serious episode we've done.
Yeah, our next episode with our friend Arjuna RJ Satchathananthan. This was like an episode I'm really proud of. And I think it was like really important for even just selfishly, like for me to be a part of this. Not even really be a part of the conversation, but just to like have some of this stuff explained to me, in which sounds kind of, I don't know, silly or maybe, but I think it was a super important discussion to have. And the title of the episode is hashtag This Is Art School, which is a movement that's taking a look at our post-secondary institutions and what they are or are not doing to sort of help people from marginalized communities or lesser privileged communities, and what is their stance on not what is their stance, but what is their actual sort of approach being, and what are their actions being in terms of discussions of racism, which has been really brought into the forefront over the last handful of months. So RJ's great musician, great guy, great player, and just awesome dude to be around, but also has spent a lot of time and energy really spearheading this movement and calling out our institutions and telling them they need to be doing better in these areas. So here's a clip from our episode with RJ, episode 39.
The equivalent of a master's degree, I feel like, in the past.
What time am I supposed to start? Right at the beginning? There's no time on this one.
There's no time. Oh no. Okay, we're gonna have to edit this into the podcast. Live viewers don't get to listen.
Okay.
Sorry.
The equivalent of a master's degree, I feel like, in the past 2 months, in terms of interviewing people and writing and like thinking of these things and like, so we're gonna ask for money too, and we deserve it. Like, if you were to hire a consultant to do this, they would charge a lot more than I think what we would be asking for. But I think that's the other thing that's really important in this thing is like, work isn't free, and like we're all doing work, right? And we're doing this work because we want things to be better, but that doesn't mean like we don't deserve to be compensated for our time, And I think that's something that took me a while to come into. When I first heard that, I said to myself, like, no, I'm volunteering. I'm making the world a better place, But it's like, no, like I think ultimately we're doing people's jobs that should have been done a while ago if they had their shit together, if they really thought about these things in a
they should have
meaningful
had
way.
someone in a position who was doing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think
it would be in their best interest to do that.
I strongly believe that. Yeah.
Because one of the things that I heard that was interesting, the idea of like liberal versus conservative. It's like, the conservative keeps the structures in place, and then the liberal breaks down the structure to sort of keep the world together.
Yeah, there's this sort of balance,
maybe
right?
they have two.
That's not the actual
clip.
Yeah, and I think it's just more like redefining what you see as your role and as what success is. And I think that's like the thing that I think will ultimately allow this thing to succeed is I think even the people who are more entrenched, when they really reflect on it, they're going to see that they're on this kind of island and the water is kind of getting higher. And I don't know, like, it just seems sad that they'd want to hold on to it, I think for us as younger musicians, we're like so used to the idea of loss, right? Like, we've never held on to a gig for very long. Like, our permanent mindset is like, is this gig going to be here next week? Is this revenue stream going to be here next week? We're so used to things coming and going. Whereas I think for those guys, like, they've been there for so long and their little kind of castle or whatever has been so secure that I think it's going to be harder for them to let go of it or to accept that it needs to be changed.
Was that it?
That
was it?
That was it.
Yeah. So so much good stuff in that podcast. I would highly encourage everybody to check that out and go follow the hashtag This Is Art School on Facebook. They have an Instagram account as well. And if you're looking for ways to just get more educated on the issues at play here, that's a great spot to go. And if you actually want to support the movement yourself, that would be an excellent thing to do. And those would be good places to go to do that. Next episode, number 40, a little bit of a lighter topic here. We brought on our friend Mr. Tom Moffat, who's a great trumpet player, great musician, plays in some high-level shows with bands like Arkells, Bedouin Soundclash. Also does his own sort of solo projects, usually involving free jazz and stuff like that. and since the pandemic hit, Tom's found himself streaming a bunch on Twitch and actually sort of making a pretty good go of it in terms of viewership and subscriptions, and I think he's now hoping to transition to at least, you know, making that a sizable source of his income, so that he can just take the gigs he wants to take and do this on the side. So another sort of quote unquote side hustle podcast, just talking about how to get into streaming if that's something that interests folks.
This clip is nothing about that, though.
And just,
is
Tom's experience.
literally his review of Cats.
And then, there was just a lot of general joking around. So this is Tom talking about the movie Cats and how awful it was, and a review that he posted of it. I still haven't seen this movie. I don't expect I ever will. Here's a clip of Tom Moffat on episode number 40.
What compelled me, like, today, so I went to like a 2 p.m. screening of Cats by myself. And yeah, I wrote a review of it that went like not viral, but like picked up some, like, it got like shared around like a couple hundred times, and like I got like enough Reddit gold to last me a lifetime. You know?
That's fucking dope. And what was your take on the film?
I mean, it's not a take that nobody else has had. It's just a profoundly horny film. Like, it's just super randy stuff. Like, these cats, and they've CGI'd away their genitals and buttholes. But
did you know that they had buttholes originally?
Yeah, it's more randy without the butthole there, because the implied butthole is more graphic than any actual cat butthole could possibly be.
There were a lot of laughs in that episode, as I recall.
Yeah.
That was a fun one to do. So if you're looking for a little,
do you know what his Twitch name is?
Yeah, it's Contra with 4 A's. So if you want to follow Tom on Twitch, if you like retro gaming, that's what Tom's all about. And the stream's super fun. I love to check into it and just see what he's up to, and just listen to his commentary on, you know, whatever game he's playing, good or bad. He'll play some rough ones sometimes that people will suggest, and it's fun. It's always fun to watch. So
he has my favorite term for, like, before COVID. He calls it, in the episode, he calls it the before times.
The before times. That's good. Yeah.
In the before times.
In the before times. That's funny. What a guy. What a guy. Why don't you talk about this next one?
This next one is really fun. And this is a guy, literally, I kept forgetting to be like, we need to have you on the podcast. He loves podcasts. And he's just like he always has cool shit to talk about. Him and Will are always saying they're going to do a podcast, and they need to. Yeah. Because they have great banter. It's Aaron Spink, and he talks about, you know, keeping fit because he's a fit man, takes care of himself, and his lady is a personal trainer as well. Mm-hmm. So they take care of themselves. And just he does a lot of education with Yamaha, and so they have a really cool approach to how they teach people. And you guys talk about the Leafs a little bit too, and it went right over my head. And
oh yeah, always getting into the sports talk when possible. Here's a clip from episode 41 featuring Aaron Spink.
Kind of going to school and having a lot of these different, like, this exposure to stuff I would have never have gotten. I started kind of falling in love with music on a whole different level than just like getting a gig, which is probably why I don't feel like I have like a main gig to this day, because I have so much enjoyment getting called
versatility
to do so many different things. And I alluded to this before we started about it. It's kind of like being the journeyman goalie in the NHL, where it's like he's just playing backup with like a different team every year, but he becomes an integral part to that team, and he sort of bounces around. Or even better, it's kind of like whenever you watch, you're watching movies and TV shows, and you always see this one actor pop up. You can't put a name to it. You're just like, oh, it's that guy. Called? Oh, it's that guy. Yeah. I feel like I've become that guy.
Yeah.
And it's all come out of a love for every opportunity to play different types of music that have come up. So same with.
Yeah. Yeah,
that is
so-
the role he fills.
Yeah.
You know, he plays everything and does it well.
Super versatile.
Great role.
And just, again, great guy to be around, fun to play music with. And yeah, great educator, has really made a great career out of the teaching side of things. So that's a great podcast to check out episode, I should say, to check out especially if you're interested in sort of upping your teaching game, if that's your revenue stream of choice. Our next episode, we only got a handful more to go through here. Episode number 42, we had our friend Kyle Homan on the show. And Kyle's a great guitarist, singer, songwriter who's spent a lot of time in the wedding scene, but recently sort of rediscovered his love for just playing punk rock and started a band called The Crease Rule, which is a hockey sort of, not pun, but reference, I guess you could say. And yeah, his band sounds great. I mean, it's music that sounds like the stuff that I was listening to in high school, so I'm a big fan of the sound. He sings great, and yeah, everything was just recorded super well. So we talked about the production of the record, just what made him want to start this band. You know, not a lot of us are thinking about starting, you know, a new rock band at, you know, age 32 or whatever, right? But it's just finding that love for music again and wanting to have that project that really fulfills you. It was a really great episode, and we play a bit of his music as well. So if you want to check out The Crease Rule, look up The Crease Rule on Google or Instagram or wherever else. Here's a clip from episode 42 with Kyle Homan. And this is a conversation that you and I had actually a couple of years ago when you were sort of chatting about wanting to get this project going. And you alluded to this earlier, actually. You were saying, you know, you just got your songs in your head and maybe you're making demos, you're not showing them to anybody. And what I feel is once you start sharing the music, that's when it becomes real, right? That's when, like, people, you know, if you're playing it with a band or if you know, shared it with a few people or if you've released it on Spotify or what have you, it's like, okay, now these songs are real. Now it's going to affect your career in ways that you didn't expect. Like, how many artists have you heard of that put a song out or like the song barely made the record and they were like, yeah, we don't even think this is good, and then it becomes a number one? That story is
all the time,
all over the place.
Always.
You know? And so these songs are more than just what you think they are or what you created once. There you go.
That's one of those clips I kind of almost wanted to force to be something, and it pretty much was saying, like, something that you said a lot is just get it out there. Like, talk to someone, mention it to someone. It's like one of our messages as a podcast.
Yeah.
You know? Like, just get your stuff out there or else it's never going to do anything.
Be proactive. Yeah. I think you want to, you know, you don't want to rush things, but I think, at least for me, I'm much more likely to put things off too long than to do what's necessary to move things forward, especially when it comes to my own music that I'm writing and trying to make. And I think that's true for a lot of us who are sort of making a go of it, playing for other people or playing jobbing gigs.
Yep.
So that stuff is always going to take a front seat over your own music, and you really have to make it a priority to get others involved and get those wheels turning.
But also, too, I mean, so even if it's not even making your own album, anything, like if you guys want to be the next Agenda, you got to tell one of your buddies, hey, let's take down the fucking Agenda, you know? let's get this, you know, let's play with this artist and we're going to try to infect it with all the boys eventually, you know? And like, this guy's going to be our bass player, you know? Like, or like, say, for instance, if you want to be, you know, an artist as well and you have no experience doing it, you know, all you have to do is tell someone, yeah, I think I'm gonna write a song, and you know, like, that starts something. That's something that you've said in other episodes, and it's so true. And I've been trying to implement it because I'm one to do a lot of things with myself. That came out very sexual.
Hey man, it's healthy.
How do I phrase that in a way
it's
that
a normal
doesn't
part
sound
of
pervy?
young life?
That's exactly it. It's a normal part of everyday life. But yeah, I'm one to sort of spend a lot of time working on stuff myself and then never do anything with it. But if you have something like Al with you, and Al will be like, oh, we got to do that podcast, or vice versa. I'll be like, oh, we're doing the podcast at this time. We keep each other accountable.
Yes.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Let's jump to episode 43, which is another Q&A episode. We just accept questions from our listeners and answer them, and it's super fun. Here's what we got up to in episode 43.
It's too contained,
And then you're like, I have to wear these for their lifespan because I spent the money on them.
Yeah.
I feel you, man.
Which is, their lifespan is too long because,
Yeah.
don't replace clothing.
No, God, no. Been wearing the same clothes for like 10 years.
Oh my God. I have certain shirts that I've been wearing since I was like 18, man. Some of my gym shirts are just riddled with holes.
It's supposed to be a 34.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Sorry.
This is my bad for the way I edited these things.
So another question from our friend Rich. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I should have looked at that. Here it is. So another question from our friend Rich. How do you balance taking work that you're passionate about with work that you need because it pays the bills?
The bills.
Those bills, baby. I mean, Serb's been paying my bills lately, so I can take all the passion gigs I want. How do I balance, for example, taking gigs for my own original music that pay no money versus, taking a wedding gig to pay the rent? It's a bit of a balancing act. You got to be smart with your money. You've got to save. You've got to be prepared for.
Yeah.
If you're the person who's living month to month, you barely have enough money to cover your rent. You don't have the option where if a festival wants to take you on as a original artist, but you had a wedding gig that night that paid $400, you can't take that festival gig because you need that money too bad. Whereas if you, man Al just telling you to save your money.
Dude, great advice though. It's something you wouldn't think about. It's like, oh, how do I make time for my own shit? I have no time. And it's like, well, you would have more time if you weren't wasting your time in the form of buying things. They say time is money, but money is time as well. So that fucking PS5 that you're gonna buy is that's gonna set you back X amount of hours that could be used to supplement those
and X amount of dollars
proper things.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
So this next one, episode 44. We did a little revisit of the 10-Step Mix, which is a video series that we made early on. I think it was episode 10 of the podcast. And just sort of talked a little bit about the updates I've made to my mixing templates and sort of how the mix process has been working for me lately. And here's a little clip. If you're interested in mixing
25.
Audio, 25. I will get it right this time. If you're interested in learning how to mix music on a DAW like Pro Tools or Logic or what have you, this episode and the others dedicated to mixing are your go-tos. Here it is, number 44, mixing a song from start to finish.
Maybe it's not.
At that point, I made a video series of 10 videos to sort of show the mixing process of a song, sort of the way I was doing it, and break it down into 10 steps that were sort of easy to follow and give a good workflow. To
it's like this. These are like the steps that you're doing them in a particular order, but these are the steps that are taken to mix a song. So it's it applies to not just mixers or people who want to mix, but people who want to understand better what's going on, what they're paying for.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it as well, too. It's here's what goes on and how much is involved, but also how you can organize the process in a way just to make it a little bit more feasible. Because if you just open up a session, you just start moving faders around and slapping plugins on things, you can get lost real fast.
Oh, it's inconsistent too.
Yeah, have a system, just like Devin said. Have a system, and
Have a
I've got
system.
one. Maybe
Let's fire through these.
Maybe it'll help you.
I feel bad. I'm keeping you.
I know I got to go in a bit, but yeah. All right. So episode 45, we went through
speed run.
Yeah, speed run. We went through some common quote unquote traps for musicians. So stuff to look out for if you're trying to get started in the industry, or even if you've been working for a while. It's like, here are some of the things that we've messed up and that you'll probably run into, and try to avoid them if you can. Here's a little clip from episode 45, musician traps.
All of that shit to be a dad.
I was very angry, apparently.
Well, yeah, I remember my teacher and one of my teachers at Humber College was like, sell out. Like, where do I sign? Like, how do I do that? You know, because I think he was responding to like somebody being accusatory of, you know, him or another songwriter. Like, oh, you're a sellout because you did this. It's like I'll sell out anytime, anywhere. Like, let me know how to do it, because it's not a real thing that you can really do, right?
If you could sell out, everyone would do it and it would work out for everyone. You know what I mean? Like the people who actually do the things that you're trying to, like, I'm not a big bro country guy, but like Florida Georgia Line, like that's at a high level. You know, you can't just decide to do that, but you see people trying to incorporate that sort of idea into their music and thinking that success is going to come to them because of it.
It's very obvious when it's forced, right?
Yeah.
People are very good at deciding what's genuine and what's not genuine. So that particular trap was just sort of thinking that, oh, I'll just sell out. I'll just make pop music. It'll be easy. Like, think again.
Fuck no, it won't.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about this next episode, episode 46?
Episode 46 was heavier than I thought it was going to be, but I mean, it's not super heavy, but you know, it's for me, it's a lighthearted thing. We were talking about mental health and all that stuff, and I just think it should be, everybody says this, but it's true. It should just be more matter of fact, you know?
Yeah.
I can't even remember what this clip was, but just, you know, mental health is something that everyone is going to have troubles with at some point in their life. Like in some form or another, you know, whether it's like intrusive thoughts. So just having a thought that I was thinking about this is one thing that therapy cleared up for me. If you have a thought that doesn't make sense to you. Have you ever been on a subway platform and thought, oh, I technically could just push someone? Have you ever thought that?
I've thought about jumping.
Sure, right? That's called an intrusive thought.
I'd be like, man, if I just walked into, I would die if I walked in front of this car. Yeah.
And so that's called an intrusive thought. And it's like, I didn't know those existed. And if we all just discussed these things openly, instead of being like, well, I'm fucked, I shouldn't mention anything about it, be a lot better world for everybody. But,
I haven't even heard that term before. I should look that up.
That's exactly it. Yeah. My therapist told me about that. And she was like, yeah, that's totally normal. And you can have really whack intrusive thoughts. I don't know what it branches under, but it's a pretty interesting idea. It's like apparently like 2/3 of everybody has them.
Wow. Well, here's an episode, a clip from episode 46 on mental health. And there's no time on this, so I think it's...
When I was 18, I was pretty bummed out. And it was, once again, kind of just... I think I was just, like, working too hard and, like, not... Like, it sounds like a brag, but, like, I feel like I was just pushing myself too hard, maybe not taking good care of myself. And I went to my doctor. And part of his advice... then helped me through this later thing. But I was depressed. I didn't feel good. And I went to him and just to talk about it. And he's like, I could put you on medication. And that works. And the medication does work. And for me, it has worked. Like, it's night and day. But he's like, let's try, unless you're like really fucked up right now. I didn't say fucked up, but let's try you getting proper sleep, because I wasn't. So getting the right amount of sleep. You know, you and I were talking about like, oh, don't watch TV before bed, even though I do. He's like, you know, don't watch TV before bed, maybe read a book before bed, making sure to get proper social, you know, stuff going on. So actually seeing people, because I can be a bit of a hermit. Eating properly and eating enough, you know, like eating too little. And then exercise, which I wasn't doing as well. I was eating well. I wasn't sleeping well. My social life was a mess. and I wasn't exercising. And he said usually those 4 things are just like they work just as often as the antidepressants do. When I was 8.
Yeah, there you go. So just really good, like bare bones kind of advice about, just how to take care of yourself, even outside of any like specific sort of diagnosis or anything like that. And that's just such a good place to start.
Yes.
And then go from there. Yeah.
Episode 47.
Hey, we're just about done. Thank you. Yeah,
Real
it's just
life.
the 2 of us. Katie's here.
What up?
Hi.
How are you?
We are live on YouTube, FYI.
Fuck yeah. What else do we got? What else do we got? Episode 47.
Episode 47. All right, so this was with our dear friend Tom Hanley, who helped produce my EP that I've been releasing songs off of. Tom's a songwriter, great guitarist, great singer. And we just talked to him for a while just about the creative process, doing some songwriting retreats, and just how he's sort of been managing his career as a solo artist and making that a priority in his everyday life. Here's a clip from episode 47 with Tom Hanley. Here it is. We did have a show.
I was there too.
Sort of before the
Yeah.
the lockdown. That's true. Yeah, we were all there.
Yeah, that was like almost a year ago now. I don't know. As you know, Al and Mike, it's like setting deadlines, especially like, being an artist, it's really tough you're your own boss, right? So you like put stuff out, unless you're like signed to a label and they're pushing you to get something out. It's like you have to set yourself up to finish something, right? So if you book a date a couple months in advance, it's like, this is booked. My musicians are booked and I have to finish this by this point. So like, that was a really good deadline to just like get the live show off the ground and get a bunch of demos finished and just have like songs that are sort of 75% done, just like.
Right on. So yeah, just talking with Tom about time management. It's the same old stuff, man. Are we getting boring? Are we just saying the same stuff every week?
I think we are.
Katie says we are. Yeah, we're getting boring, she says.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, man, it's the same old stuff. Manage your time, set reasonable goals, reasonable expectations, and just put the work in, man. And Tom's a great example of that. So if you're an aspiring songwriter, or you are a songwriter, or if you're interested in that process, or just looking for a little bit of inspiration, 47 is a great place to go with our boy Tom
48
Hanley. What do we got for 48?
If you're looking to record some shit.
We got 6 tips for the studio, episode 48. And these are just sort of things we just threw together. I was entering a couple of sessions and just sort of thinking about what I needed to do to prepare for them. And just decided, like, man, there's some cool stuff that I think we've both learned over the years in terms of recording, and just how to, make the whole process a little bit easier, and things that you need to pay attention to in the studio that you may not have to in a normal live setting, or just as you're practicing, just things that come up just to make your recording sound that much better. And this is mostly from like the perspective of somebody who's playing an instrument or singing.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the studio recording or being recorded, here are some tips to sort of make the end product a little bit better. Here's a clip from 48, 6 tips for the studio. Here it is. And that's the expectation too, is like you're going to be efficient at the studio, but you're not finishing the record at the studio. You're going to use the studio to get the drums, to get the acoustics, and the other instruments, bass and guitar and stuff. Might as well get them because we're there anyways, and it all contributes to the vibe, right?
Yes.
And we're building that arrangement and making sure everything's jiving. So
I've never heard of anybody doing that too, where they get not that I've never heard of it. I'd never known, like I hadn't had a lot of experience with that sort of thing. But when I heard that you guys do that, you get the drum takes, but you're all there, so you might as well get the other instruments as well. That's a really clever way to sort of save some money and time.
Yeah, and like the what you get back, we're playing together, so you don't have that disjointed feeling of like each instrument was laid down individually. Like there's a groove happening. You don't need to snap everything to the grid because. Yeah,
talking about the agenda method of laying things down. How you guys squeeze out a little bit extra product out of your not even scratch tracks, but like drum tracks. It's very cool.
Yeah,
very good
just
episode. I learned a bunch
efficient.
of shit from it. It's the kind of shit that it's like people are like, oh, I just need to buy better mics, and it's like, no, you just need to learn how to fucking play better, record better, all that shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's never the gear's fault if your session isn't going well. Sometimes it is, but no, it's there's just so many ways to streamline the process and just to even how you attack your instrument, how hard you're strumming, how hard you're hitting a drum. This is all stuff that we touch on in this episode. I think it was super interesting and hopefully helpful for some people out there. We got one more to look at here. This is episode 49, completing the first, our first 49, and then our 50th being the episode preceding this one. This one was actually really cool. I'm so glad that we finally did this. I feel like this was kind of I don't know, in retrospect it was a no-brainer, but we never thought to do it, or we didn't maybe we didn't feel comfortable enough on the mics to actually do it. But this one we utilized a song by our friend and great artist Alessia Cole, her single called All Good. We actually went through it and the agenda did produce it. But we went through it section by section and broke down our process for learning the song by ear and then how we would go about charting it out. There's a companion chart to go along with the episode. If you just have a look in the show notes on the website. And I'm hoping this has been useful for people just in sort of like demystifying even the Nashville number system. Like, what do people mean when they say 1, 4, and 5? And just like, how do you figure out what chords are in songs? And it's not something you can comprehensively cover in a single podcast episode, but hopefully we were able to shed some light on how that process works and maybe our systems for doing it will help people do it faster who do have some experience learning by ear.
Also, too, it gives people maybe the courage to check it out. Maybe people think it's more complicated than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple.
We tried to break it down. It's one of those things that's very hard to teach ear training, but we tried to break it down as to as basic as we could. And here's a clip from episode 49. It's called Learning Songs Quickly. Here it is.
You can use this, for instance. If I tell you 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 8, 5, can you recite that to me like 5 minutes from now? I guarantee you not. But if I go ba da 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 da, it's the melody to Star Wars. Those are the degrees. Right. So that's why ear training is so much handier than memorization by like frets or numbers. It's like, can you hear it? You got it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Some wisdom from the land of Michael Hebbs there. Yeah.
That's how my brain works.
Yeah. Yeah, we did get into memorization too on that episode and just how to sort of compartmentalize things in your brain. I don't think that's the right term, but just like, it's all stuff that we're obviously not experts on, but it's just like, this is how we sort of think and try to remember songs and like, and you get better at it as you do it more. But I love to just take things in chunks. It's like this part of the song sounds like this song that I already know, but it's in this key. And it's like, or like the strumming pattern. Like sometimes I remember on one chart, I just wrote Cruise, which is a song. Oh, Coop's on the show here. Okay.
Puppy dog.
Like the song Cruise by Florida Georgia Line, right? It's like, I know this feel, like I've played that song so many times in bars. I know kind of roughly the speed of it and like what the strumming pattern is. So I just wrote that. I said like, key of this, kind of like Cruise on the chart, literally. And that helped me remember, okay, it's this, rather than writing out a super detailed, here's what the strum pattern is. It's just like, no, I already know this. All I need to do is jog my memory by writing one word on the page, right? So it's like, make things easier for yourself that way. But yeah, no, that was a really cool episode to do. I'm really glad we did it. And we should do another one in the future, maybe on something more complex or something like that. I think it would be super cool.
That's true. Maybe get it into the full nitty gritty high resolution learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so thanks so much everybody for listening to this episode and any of the others that you've been in on since the inception of this podcast. If you liked the sound of any of these episodes and you haven't heard them before, please do go check them out at musicguypodcast.com. If you have any suggestions for future topics, future guests, if you want to submit a question, if you want to submit a song of yours to be played on the show, you can do all that stuff via email, musicguypodcast@gmail.com, or hit either of us up on social media. Mike is at Bruno the Meek on Instagram. I'm at Al Rowe Music on Instagram and Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, whatever else. Except for TikTok, because I'm in my 30s. And and I think that does it. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is just tell your friends about it, spread the word, spread the love. And we look forward to doing many, many, many more episodes of this fine internet radio program we call the Music Guy Podcast. That's all I got for this week.
Yeah. Go home. I mean, you're already home.
I'm already home. We're all already home.
Go take your dog on a walk.
That's where we're supposed to be. I do have to take my dog for a walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you all next week. Bye for now.